The following content is supported by victoris.org.
Okay, so alright, so in the previous lesson we talked about uh, for loops and while loops, and list actually goes hand in hand with for loops, because we'll see that for loop is a very natural way to access the elements in a list. More on that later. Okay, so let's jump to the Kahoot. There's a Kahoot this time. Okay, so a new symbol, right? We see square brackets now. You can give it a try. Over here I wrote it on the right hand side, but you can actually write it on the left hand side also. It's the same. The reason why I put Kahoot is also because I want people to type it out themselves. Yeah, like I could demo it, but then I realized after a while, like people will just see and then they just stare, and then when it comes to the questions, they're very confused. Yeah. No, Kahoot is a way of forcing you to type it out. Okay, great. So you got the correct answer. We see is 4. So what's happening over here? Okay, so on the right, let's write it on the right hand side, okay? So we create a variable called x. We assign it to, what value is this? It's a list. Okay, so why do we want list in the first place? In short, right, list is when you want to create many variables. Just like how for loops is when we want to repeat a certain line of code many times, right? A list allows you to basically create many variables at once with great convenience. Okay, so in this case, to define a list, I need the square brackets. And inside the square brackets, I'll put many values, right? Normally, a variable can only store one value. But if I have a list is a list of many values. And each value is separated by comma. So in this case, I have a total of 7 values. So I separate it with commas. So 3, 1, 4, 1, and so on. I'll just stop here, okay? So if I now print the value of x, right, I see that I get 314 is a list of values. If I print, so what's the type of x? See that it's a list type of variable. Okay, so now what if I want to access the individual values, right? I can use the square bracket. So I print x, and let's say I want to access the third element of x, which is 4. Okay, I'll put the index 2. If I want to access the third element, I put index 2. And that's because the list start counting from 0. So if I type this, you see the answer is 4, which you got correctly. If I want to access the first element, I type index 0, and that gives me 3. Okay, so if maybe you want to guess, if I put x index 1, what is the output going to be? Index 1 corresponds to, so the index goes 0, 1, 2, 3. First item is index 0, second item is index 1. So if I print index 1, yeah, correct, it's 1. Okay, so yeah, so this is, yeah, so that's what they mean by programmers start counting from 0, because instead of counting first element, second element, third element, I count 0th element, first element, second element, so on. So we call that the index. Just like how if you have a class, a name list, right, you have an index number for each of the places. Yeah, okay. So okay, so each of these indices, okay, so this is just another check, right? Just like how we can have numbers, the values can be numbers, but they can be strings also. So okay, so you guessed correctly, there's an error. Why is it an error? So we have a animals variable with the value of a list, and the list has 3 elements. Okay, 0, 1, and 2 is correct. But if we try to access out of bounds, right? If we try to access, in this case, let's say we try to access index x, let's say 100. The 100th element, there's no such element. It tells me list index out of range. Okay, makes sense, right? Out of range. Okay. Okay, let's modify the list elements now. What if, let's say I have this giant list, and then I write x2 equals to 3. Okay, if you're unsure, you can type it out. That's 4 minutes for you. Then when you type print x, what do you see?
whole thing again.
But do you look carefully? Is it?
It changed.
It changed a bit, right? Which is the part that changed? So is it?
It's a 3 now.
Yeah, correct. So what that means is that, so if let's say the takeaway from this is that each element of the list, right? The list has many values, right? Each one of this is basically a variable. This is a variable, this is a variable. So let me just clear the screen and type it out for you. So 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 9, 2. Okay, if I print the list X, I just see all the elements. Now previously if I print X index 2, then I get this element, right? Which means it's 4. But let's say I want to replace this element, this index 2 element. So I write X index 2, just so this is not variable, right? The list at a particular index is just a variable. So if I let's say replace it with 3, then now X, if I print X index 2 again, and what's the value?
3. Change the 4 to the 3.
Exactly, I change the 4 to the 3. And if I print the entire array, the entire list out, you see that now the 4 has become a 3. So takeaway is that a list has many values, it stores many values separated by commas. And each value acts like its own variable. So it's like variable 0, variable 1, variable 2, variable 3, and so on. You can think of it that way. And now you see that previously, if you create many variables, you may be wondering, what if I run out of variable names, right? What if I run out of meaningful variable names? With this, you have no problem because you just have one variable name, x, and then use the number to then denote which variable you want to access. Yeah, you use a square bracket to access. Okay, so what if I want to find out the length of a list?
3.
Yeah, 3. So okay, that's correct. So length of the list, very simple, right? It just returns you the length of the list. In this case, if I print length of x, can you guess what the output is going to be?
7.
Yep, correct, 7. Okay, just how many elements are in the list. Okay, what if I want to add elements to the list, to the back of the list? I can use the dot append function. So I write the list name dot append, and then the element I want to add to the end. Yeah, correct. Okay, so pretty simple. So if let's say this one has 7 elements, then x dot append, I write the list name dot append, and then this one I can put any value I want. Let's say I put 999. Then now if I print the length of the list again, what is it going to be? The length of the list.
Of that list.
After my append. Yeah, correct, 8, right? And if I print the value of the list, you can see that from this one, I added 99 to the back. Okay? So quite simple. What if I want to remove elements from the list? Okay, this is a bit tricky, right? If you're confused, you can type it out. Oh, I didn't give a lot of time to type it out. It's this one, the red one. Yeah. So reason why it's the red one is it removes the first element. It only removes one copy of the value. So for example, this one I have 2 3s, right? And I have 2 1s, right? If I do x dot remove 1 and I print x. Okay, so first let's print the length of x. What's the length of x going to be?
7.
7, correct. And if I print x, what is it going to be?
3 3 1.
Yeah, exactly, and so on. Okay, can. So it removes the first instance. If I want to remove both ones, right, then I can do print remove 1 again. Then now when I print x, you see that 1 disappeared. What if I try to remove an element that doesn't exist? It tells me x is not in the list. Error. Okay, so quite simple. Okay, you can take some time to think about this. If you're not sure, you can always type it out.
Length of the list minus 1 is 3.
Yep.
Print my list 3.
So what is that going to be?
1.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, great, you got it correct. Good evaluation over there. So yeah, you're correct. So I have the list 9551. But what's the point in this, you may be wondering? Right, why did I go through all this trouble to... So length of my list minus 1. Okay, if you want to guess, what does this code do? besides or if it prints 1 to the screen, but if let's say I change this one to be 1, 2, 3, right? Then you see it says 3. Can you guess what this line 2 does? If I edit the list, right? Let's say I change it to like that. It prints 5. Can you see the pattern?
You change one more time.
Okay, so if I remember it's 5, right? Okay, if I change it to 4 and 9, can you guess the output? It's 9.
Oh, it gives you the last number of your.
Yeah, exactly. But why, right? Okay, so let's think about it a bit. Okay, when you have a list, you start indexing from 0, 1, 2, 3, correct? How long is the list over here? If I print length of the list, the length of the list is 4, correct? What's the index of the last element? 3, right?
Okay.
So if I want to access the last element of any list, right, I can find the length of the list, then take -1, and because I started counting from 0, the length of the list -1, that's the index of last element and of the last element. Make sense?
Yeah.
What if I do -2?
Then your second last.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. So that's about it. Okay.
Same thing.
Yeah. Great. You get the idea. Okay. So yeah. Actually, that's all for. Oh, there's still one more. Sorting. Okay. This is quite straightforward, I guess.
So, if I'm up to down or down to up?
Is from down to up. Okay, so yeah, if I run this, it sorts it in ascending order from 4, 5, 9, 9. Okay, what if I want to reverse? I can just put in. Okay, so you see, right? This sort is a function, right? There's actually a parameter can I pass into the function. It's an optional parameter. Currently, I didn't pass anything, but I can pass something to tell reverse equals true. Then now, it sorts in reverse order.
Why you have to put equals true?
I can try putting just true. Does that work? Okay, it doesn't work. I need to put reverse equals to true. The short answer is that sort can take in many parameters. If I look at the sort function in Python, the sort function in Python takes in many parameters. Just like how just now we pass in the multiply function, right? We had 2 parameters, right? You can take as many parameters as you want. In this case, it takes in 2. It can take up to 2 parameters. One is reverse and one is key. Key is something that allows you to do custom sorting. Yeah. So in this case, if I pass in true itself, because reverse and key are optional parameters, meaning you don't necessarily need to pass them in. There's some default values for them. So if I don't pass in to them, Python will just take them as assign the default value to them. So the reason why I need to put reverse equals true is because I want to tell Python the reverse parameter is the one I want to pass in, not the key. If not, it's confused. It doesn't know which one exactly I want to assign the value true to, whether it's reverse or key. Can?
But why need to assign the value true?
Oh, I can have reverse equals false. That also works. So then it will just be the ascending order.
Wait, but why can't you just put reverse without the?
Reverse then now is looking for a variable called reverse. And I'm trying to pass in. So yeah, it says reserve is not defined. I need to pass in a value into the. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's a small side note lah. Yeah, that's more of optional parameters in Python. Not too, but I just want to tell you it's possible to reverse the order also. Another way of reversing the order is after you have that, right? You just have my list dot reverse. I think that should work also. Yeah, that.
Why need the bracket after?
After this?
Yeah.
Because reverse is actually a function that I'm calling. Whenever you call a function, you need the round brackets. Yeah. The reverse, right, is actually a function.
But
Oh, just like how remember just now we had the say hi function, say hi, and then print hi. This function take in nothing as a parameter. Then I call say hi with just the round brackets. I also didn't have any parameters that I passed in. Right. The function can take in parameters. The function can take in parameters. It's up to you whether you want to define that the function takes in parameters or not. Like over here, I can take in a parameter saying name, and then I say hi plus name, and then now I need to pass a parameter into the function. But over here, the reverse function is defined in Python such that you don't need to pass in any parameters. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. If not, you can just take this as a statement itself, like that this code would sort the my list. Yeah. Okay. It's actually a bit more than that. This dot over here has some meaning to it, which is not covered in the basic lessons. Is classes and stuff. But no worries. The logic is actually just these concepts. Okay. So actually, yeah. So that's the answer. So that's all. Let's do the exercises. Yeah. This is quite short. Yeah. Let's go look at the exercises.